the case, then everything in your ass is theoretical?
I don't know about everything, but
just play the damn intro.
Welcome to Everyone Racers, a podcast designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. Whatever kind of LeChump or track dog you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate. We even think you Drifto Hella Flush guys are alright, as long as you built it yourself and drive it hard. Join us each week for tech discussions, tips, tricks, news and notes from the world of low buck racing, and if you can handle it, Chrissy will give you just the tip. I'll be your pit marshal. My name is Jeff. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
Oh, and I'm mental. I'm sorry, I was waiting for Jeff, but Jeff already introduced himself.
And we are Everyone Racers. Good evening or morning or whenever the heck you happen to be downloading us. Welcome to the second edition of Everyone Racers.
Amazingly, someone might have listened to the second show. So thank you, all four people.
It's probably
Seriously.
It's probably still my mom. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. And hi, Chrissy's mom, because we know that mine's not listening to this. But the first time my dad gets on there on the Facebook and talks about how our language is terrible, you'll know he listened.
Nice.
Yep, that's
nice.
all right.
Well, let's get this shindig started, everyone. We're going to start with our normal opening volley. I don't know what it is. Is it a folly or volley this week?
It's a volley. What you working on, Jeff?
Oh, I can absolutely know that mine's folly, but yes.
Mine was definitely a volley. For those of you who know, I have had one 24-hour period off since the last time we recorded in a 7-day moment, and I marked the end of summer, as we all do in the suburbs of New Jersey, by closing my pool. It was a sad day.
Oh.
My 9-year-old cried a little. But that's it. I have done absolutely nothing else except be at work 24 hours a day. Thank God it's over soon. This weekend coming up, 2 days off.
What?
And what are you going to do with all that time, Jeff?
Who knows?
Which cars
clunk
need
in the
work?
rear end. The Daily still has the clunk in the rear end. So Chris mentioned that I should try the end links. So I will put some stuff on the end links. And the other thing that I've actually been working on is building a hella sweet podcast setup and a hella sweet intro.
So did Mental. How does his echo still sound? All he says is his face in a box.
Face in a box.
He's still
nothing wrong with face in the box.
I got blankets hanging up. I've got folded wood. I've got foam everywhere. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably going to have to be time for me to try a different microphone.
No.
What else are you working on?
Me, nothing.
No,
Mental, what
we're
you
done
working
with you.
on?
Well, so exactly the opposite of Jeff. I've got the entire week off because it's September break. So yesterday, put the wife, her brother, and her dad on an airplane to Italy. So I'm a Class B bachelor. So I started working on replacing the front clip on my daily driven Mercedes because right after I got all the body work done, I hit a possum. So it's been taped together for about a year. I got a front clip out of a U-Pull-It junkyard and been preparing that to throw some paint on it and replace it tomorrow, hopefully.
So you're a classy guy. Mercedes fixed with duct tape for a year. Well done.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I am Southern, but it is a Mercedes. And actually, I did break down and buy a roll of that flex tape because, it works underwater.
Does it match the car?
Oh, no, you do it from the backside, so you can't tell.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, that's better than the Hella Drifto guys who just drill holes and zip tie it stitched shut. Although I did that.
I've been in a race car where we've had to do that, and it actually works.
Oh, the Honda's been held together that way for years now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that is the rear bumper.
Stitch. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Chrissy, what you got? What you working on this week?
Well, I have been taking it easy this weekend. Since Chris was gone racing, I decided that I wasn't going to do anything productive. So I went to the beach and helped my parents do some yard work and stuff around their house. But I found by spending time with them, they love the new Mazda that we bought for my sister Kim. And they don't even care that it has blown shocks and needs all these upgrades or at least things fixed. They don't even care. They fight over who's going to drive it, and they're having a great time. So I think we're going to move that up to somewhere into the middle of the priority list sometime soon because they're getting a lot of use out of it, which is great.
Mazda 3, greatest car on the planet to daily
So,
drive.
pretty much. And
Actually, is Chris, are you the only one that's never owned a Mazda 3 as a daily?
No, I have. I had a winter beater 06 Mazda 3 GT hatch that I bought on Craigslist for $2,500 and came with two snow tires in the front. They were oversized and just all seasons in the back. So I had lots of drifto fun with my front wheel drive car. But it had good working heated seats and good heat. And then eventually I did a bunch of our maintenance upgrades to that, and we sold it to a friend of the family. So that was the silver one.
Was that the silver one? That's what I was going to ask.
yeah.
Yep.
Wow,
So awesome, Chris. What you working on?
Endorsed Mazda 3s. All of us have had one.
Pretty much. I've been at or preparing to or recovering from CMP, basically. Matt Ferenchek and I left on Thursday midday, drove down, had a great time, and Ironman it back Sunday night. We got home at 3:30 a.m. on Monday morning and proceeded to go to work at noon. So that's what I've been doing for the most part. But my list of things that need to get fixed is very similar to last week. I really have to get going to the Civic because I have to get the Civic off the lift so I can get the fridge into the house because our old fridge is hurting. I have to do oil changes in the Mercedes and the sub and put the non-summer tires on the Mercedes because they are completely bald, and I got a flat when I was in South Carolina. But the fun thing about South Carolina is you go to a local gas station, they're going to fix your 285 3019 tire with an $8 wax plug. And that gets you home. So we have to do that, and I also need to fix the trailer brakes because they don't work. For some reason, halfway on the way to Thompson, they stopped working, and I want the trailer brakes to work, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm in the same situation. Trailer brakes in the Avalanche on the new trailer. Yeah, sometimes they work, sometimes not. Wiggle the wires. They seem to work better for a little while.
Our wiggling wires don't even work.
Oh.
Yeah, I could even hit the manual button. Nothing happens. It's just the brake controller says not connected. Yeah. I don't know. I got to sit there and diagnose it. Yeah.
Well, that's actually good work. Maybe I'll do that too this weekend. No, not going to happen.
No, you won't.
No, not at all.
Good.
I will mow the lawn and work on the daily.
That's good.
Anyway.
Hey, news and notes?
News and notes. Who's going to start news and notes? Chrissy, you got something to start with?
Why don't we, Chris, start with an update from CMP?
Oh, that's fine.
CMP, what a great time. There's always a nice time and good people down there. It started off when I showed up Thursday night, right as Roland and Craigers were doing a once-over on Eric's Subaru for tech, and everything looked great. We found two tiny little pinholes in the welds in the cage, but we had to search to find those. And Tech never found them, so they didn't have to do anything. Past Tech flying colors.
Nice.
Yep. Parade went great. It was a smaller turnout this year, so it was all in one block, which was really nice, actually, to keep everyone a little more condensed. But the locals turned out more than ever. There were a ridiculous number of people there. It was a great time. Everyone loved it. Johan had a wonderful burn books, not oil theme going on, and he was preaching to the crowd from his Volkswagen Haynes manual.
Nice.
And it was go ahead.
We should mention really quickly where CMP is in related to where you are and what was the event.
Sorry, that's a good point. This is backstory. Carolina Motorsports Park in Kershaw, South Carolina. That is 612 miles away from where I live in Birdsboro, Pennsylvania. So that's why because I was not driving one of our cars, I was driving with Terminally Confused in their Honda Del Sol. We drove down in my Mercedes, which was much better than towing, and had a nice, lovely ride there and back. CMP is half an hour from the town of Camden, South Carolina. Camden is very nice, and they allow the main block of their town to be closed entirely. It's for us fools to set up our janky rides in the middle of town so the locals can come out and look, and they bring bands in. They've got vendors there. They have all kinds of things going so that people can see it. They let us parade up and down the street from the local parking lot where we can drop the cars off, back and forth, and they really are very hospitable to us.
It is a kind of bizarre Lemons event because you test on Friday. If you test on Friday, I should say, you get teched. But are they still BS teching in Camden, or do they just do the BS? Okay,
all
so
BS is in Camden.
Yeah, so
Eric with his Silence of the Lambs theme. They had the car was Buffalo Bill's skin suit. They brought their gallons of lotion with hand pump dispenser, like a garden sprayer dispenser.
Nice.
And then they gave the other gallon of lotion to Johan. Because why not?
Of course.
Johan is a neurologist who drives a Volkswagen Super Beetle and is quite a character. And we think he's a wonderful person. So then Saturday, during the race, we started off pretty strong, and we ran 4 drivers during the course of the day. By the end of the day, we were in 4th overall, and second in B class behind the local Pennsylvania locals, Interceptor Motorsports, and their Thunderbird. You might know Interceptor Motorsports from their other cars, including the Renault Fuego Turbo and the Bluesmobile, like the proper Bluesmobile, the 70s Chrysler
Monaco.
with the 440. Yeah, they do it right. They're great guys. They just wanted an easy race. They pulled their Thunderbird out of retirement because it's been their easy car, and it ran like a champ all weekend, and it was faster than the Del Sol, and they had cleaner pit stops, and we could not catch them.
That is a 351 in there, right? V8?
It is. Yeah, it's a Aero Bird with a 351 with 2-barrel carburetor, but it worked. And they drove clean, they drove fast, they were well organized, they had good pit stops. They ended up 4th overall, first in B. We were 5th overall, 2.5 laps back. But it's also the best finish ever for a terminally confused car. We were pretty pleased with how we did. Our best lap was a 2:03, and it was a great weekend all around. Good times, good fun.
Cool. How was the temperature?
Weather was good.
Weather was 85 and sunny. And the best part is terminally confused. Our team I was running with, one of the guys, Kurt, is a former semi-pro on the barbecue circuit. He was sponsored by the Big Green Egg Company, and he'd go around doing barbecue competitions. And his barbecue is spectacular. As we talked about last time, everyone loves to put Kurt's meat in their mouth. It is so delicious. So
and
Saturday
puts the flag workers in a good mood too, because he always feeds them.
Puts everybody good.
Yeah.
He cooked 12 Boston butts, and people bring sides, and the whole paddock practically lined up for us. Every time we turned around, the line was longer, and people donate to Lemons of Love, the event charity, as they come in to eat. They raised over $1,500 for Lemons of Love.
That's awesome.
They did a great job.
Who's always down there with beer? They always brew a beer for that event too.
That would be Duff Beer.
Duff Beer, thank you. Yes.
They brought beer, and also Soggy showed up. Soggy is another wonderful character. Lemons usually puts a lot of bacon. He showed up not only with his normal stash of delicious meat, but he brought 2 giant coolers full of beer and just wrote free beer on top of the coolers, and everyone could partake as they wished. So Soggy is a very, very generous and contributor to the Lemons community.
Tell them about this.
How did Soggy get down there? Because he's had some interesting transportation in the past.
He has a Mark II Volkswagen Jetta diesel that he got from Spank. He apparently was on the San Diego Craigslist, and he had Spank go buy it. And it cost $912 because that was in Spank's wallet at the time. So
Mark II?
Yeah,
he used to have a Mark IV that he spray painted. Mark II, really?
Yeah. Now we got a Mark II, and he ran the Lemons Rally in it and drove it home. Its newest thing is he has a coolant lines running from the engine bay back to the cooler in the trunk. He's setting up a sous vide station in the trunk of the jet diesel for cooking.
I watched this on Facebook. I was completely amazed by it. But then he said that he got stuck in traffic and was like an hour behind schedule, so he had to pull over to the side of the road and take the bacon out of the backseat sous vide cooler coolant line contraption because it was burning.
Yep.
So,
hey Chris, tell everybody about the Spam and how you cooked it. I sent you with a can of Spam because you got to go with a can of Spam.
As part of our previous themes that involve Spam or alternative breakfast meats, we always eat Spam every race. So Chrissy sent a can along with us. So what we did on Sunday mornings, we cooked that Spam up, but what we did to make it extra special, first off, Kurt talked Soggy into letting me cook Spam on one of his griddle plates, and he will probably deny it. He'll probably deny it to the end of the earth, but he did. He let me use the one that he doesn't like, and he told me that it was terrible, but he was going to let me do it anyway. He poured some bacon grease on the pan for me. I cut the Spam up real thin, and then here's the trick. We rubbed the Spam in Kurt's barbecue rub and then fried it in bacon. It was amazing.
So your alternative meat on Kurt's butt rub. That's a
Doggy's grill.
recipe for winning.
Can I interrupt the podcast for a moment?
Sure.
Weren't we supposed to be talking about cars,
All right, here,
racing?
I have a car update.
Car update.
News and notes.
News and notes.
Tonight, we bought an NSX.
So it survived the flood.
It
survived.
It, right? I get to
I
drive
talked
it,
to
right?
the guy. Yes, Jeff, you can drive it. I talked to the guy. He said they didn't get much in the way of flooding where he was. They kept power on the whole time. So a lot of people in Jacksonville had a rough time. They did okay. So that was nice to hear that. And he said, yeah, I was wondering if you didn't call back because you saw something red bobbing down the road down here. So fortunately, not that car.
Nice.
Excellent. That is epic. So have you moved everything that you need to move to make room for that?
No. We still have to move the MG and the Citroen. Hey, Jeff, how's Citroen paperwork?
Yeah. Remember when I said I've been at work every day since I've seen you? So
Okay,
I'm still going to ask you every time I see you about it.
it's on the notes later in this show.
I
to
have
ask
to go
you.
to the DV for
That could
this,
be that could be the segment. That could be just a segment name. Hey Jeff, how's the Citron paperwork coming?
Yeah, I'll see over. Hey, let's go to more news and notes, Chrissy.
Yeah,
you have a story.
I do have not a story. It's just something I've been thinking about. So, I saw on the Facebooks, and I think it happened this weekend. There is a driver that's pretty well known in backup. So we go down to Atlantic City to watch Bruce, one of our teammates, run a three-quarter midgets, and they also do some other cart-like
slingshots
and stuff,
carts and stuff like that.
So one of the major players in the TQs, the three-quarter midgets, is a man named TC, and TC is an ass. So he's just like not a very nice guy, and everybody knows that. So he's kind of got this attitude aura around him that everybody kind of just stays away from him. But he died in a plane crash on Saturday. And it just went viral on a bunch of the different racing series, and different people Facebooks were just saying, hey, this is crazy, he died, and it was kind of unfortunate, but we knew him from TQs, and he was definitely somebody that only went by TC, and you just knew, everybody knew who he was.
He was very fast, though, and often won. So that was part of, I think, why some people didn't like him, because he had this attitude about him. But he was no doubt a good driver. He came with some very well-prepared stuff.
And
his name was Teddy Christopher, yes. Teddy Christopher. I actually did some research. I didn't realize that he had a former NASCAR career and had been around for quite a while, and actually his reputation for being chrome horn and push you out of the way started as his NASCAR reputation. So that was more of a carryover to the roundy round three-quarter world.
Yeah, I also did some research and found that he basically would say, I'm going to this race, there are 4 different kinds of cars, get me in all different 4 kinds of cars, and I'm going to win all 4 sessions. And if he didn't, he would beat people up. So obviously the attitude that we don't condone, we don't like attitude like that in our kind of racing and on our team, even in other cars that we race against. But I just thought it was just a notable thing in the news and notes section that there is a death of a racer who was well known in a bunch of the racing series that we watch, really.
Speaking of Bruce and Greg, because they're the ones who brought us into the TQ Tiny Queer Car community, they have decided to pick up a new car for themselves, because I think they are fittingly retiring the Triumph. Yay! And we can pour one out for the TR. It served its life. Mental has actually driven the car that Bruce and Greg bought. Mental, do you want to tell us what it is and a little bit about it?
So this is the infamous Black Betty, and Black Betty is still my favorite race car I have ever driven, ever. So it is built by a guy, a metal fabricator in Ohio. It is a 3800 V6, so it is similar to the one they were running in the Triumph, but it's a non-supercharged. But he's got it out of a Camaro, the 3800, and is backed up by a T5, and he's done every good modification to this 3800. So it's putting, I shouldn't say how much horsepower is put into the ground, because they're going to try and run that in a couple of series of some people who might actually listen to this in the past. But it's throwing down a lot of power, and that thing is a beast of a car. It is a magnificent creation. The closest thing I think you guys have probably driven to it is Hobbs's BMW. That car is just flat out amazing.
Yeah, you've mentioned that it is not only fast, but incredibly well sorted and meticulously built. Is that a good way to say it?
Yes. Now, meticulously built as a sprint car. So this thing's been running NASA sprints. It holds a couple of track records. So it's going to be interesting because there have been some teething pains making it into an endurance car. And so it's going to be interesting seeing what these guys do with it.
And what did you?
She's a beast. We've talked about this before. As these cars are getting faster, we can't afford to be as careless, I guess, the night before we strap into these fast race cars like we used to be able to do. And this thing will put a hurting on you.
And you ran it in a chump race, is that true?
American Endurance Racing.
Oh, AER.
At Mid-Ohio, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It's just black, right? So it needs a theme.
Yeah.
It doesn't really fit in with our cars as in just a black car with some white numbers.
It is just black. And Omar was all like, oh, can we... And Omar, one of our racing buddies who's known for making everything ugly and misspelling Afghan on the side of a boat, he was like, oh, we have to make it ugly. And I told him, no, you can't. You can theme the car, but if you look at how well that thing is put together, you can't go and make it ugly for the sake of ugly. You can make it awesome, but you can't make it ugly.
And as much as I love Bruce, I'm not sure he's not going to know what to do with it because everything's done and everything is done well. Bruce is used to continuing to work on his cars all the time to continue to refine them. We'll put it that way.
I think his team might party a little bit more than they have been in the last couple of races because they've really been work on the car all the time, too tired to drink, get up, start working again.
Yeah. Actually, I wonder if there needs to be any cage changes. Obviously, AER's rules and Lemons rules are different. Along with every sanctioning body obviously has different rules, but there's definitely, little tiny nuances that make it okay in one series, but not in the other. I don't know, Mental, you got a thought on this?
Well, no, the guy that built it is a metal fabricator. If you find yourself really bored, look up a guy called Tin Man on Facebook and look at the exhaust he built for his Z06 in firing order as it curves in from a 4 into 2 into 1 giant exhaust pipe. And he built it for NASA. So that's a NASA certified cage. I think it'll be fine through Lemons.
And I've seen the pictures of it, and it looks pretty good to me from what I could see. I didn't see any design issues that would need to be addressed.
Yeah, that's really what I was suggesting, that, some series allow some things that other series don't allow.
Well, Lemons Tech is really quite strict. They will fail stuff that's past all kinds of other series.
Yeah, stuff that is completely safe but out of spec.
And legit, but the guy that built it, yeah. In fact, an AER's moved to where even if you've got a hard top, you have to have 2 internal nets. You've got to have a window net and then a mid car net as well.
I never liked the.
Well, we can. Go ahead.
Well, it makes it almost impossible to do a point buy. I think point buys are a nice part of multi-speed racing, multi-class racing, especially when you have like AER now. Some of the closing speeds are ridiculous that they have now.
AER is an incredibly fast series. I was very, very surprised at how fast AER has gotten from when we did the first race to when we did the race last year at this time.
Well, one of the big complaints some of those guys used to have is about the speed differential in Lemons, and if anything, they've eclipsed that speed differential. When they have
absolutely.
Spec Miata and then a race prep C6 Corvette, especially at some track like Summit Point, it's huge.
Yeah, see, they had real live C6R there last year.
Yeah, and all the Caymans and things like that. Well, anyway,
that's one reason. The Wayne Wanamaker brothers running their Caymans, yeah.
Sure. Which are cars, very well prepped, very well driven. Yeah. So you can't point by. And also, I worry about the fire thing. It's hard to get out, especially if you can't see. You have to have a really well set up net, and most of the ones that I've seen there are not. They're the kind with like the GM seatbelt push buckle. You got to reach up, find the little thing to push with your thumb to get it to drop down. And we put the one in the Honda. I put it with a duck head latch and link thing with a huge head on it, so you could just kind of flail at it and it would hit it and knock it open and it would fall right down. But it definitely is a couple critical seconds when you're trying to get out of the car in a fire.
Yeah. Well, you're seeing they haven't regulated it yet, but it's one of those highly encouraged things where they're doing the big flail panic button for the net release that gets welded into the cage. It's just a pin with a giant red release button for the window nets.
Yeah,
you're
so
starting to see that a lot.
I am sensing a theme or a topic for another show. Maybe we can, in a future show, actually talk about different safety regulations for different series, maybe compare and contrast. I think that'll be really good. But we actually do have a session prepped today for a nice, timely winter conversation. Chris, you want to start us off on this?
Yeah, well, we live in the Northeast. It gets cold. We have an off racing season most of the time. This year we don't really because we're running Atlanta in December and Barber in February and things. But normally we do. We stop in October and don't start until May. And it gets cold here and it snows and I'm not touching that car. So we have to figure out what do we do with these cars over the winter to keep them in decent shape. That can change a little bit depending on where you are and what your schedule is like. But here in the Northeast, it gets cold. It snows. I mean, it's freezing oftentimes right after we come back from Halloween Hoopty Fest at the end of October. So what we usually do with the Honda is drain the water out, get an antifreeze mix in it. We'll then take the seat belts out, take other parts that we don't need out, try to drain the fuel cell as much as we possibly can. I usually stick some steel wool in any of the rusty holes and other holes that are in the body to keep critters out. Put some dryer sheets in, another way to keep critters out too. And if we leave it, sometimes we leave it right on the trailer in the yard, throw a tarp over it. That's about it. Last year, though, we did something a little better. Chrissy, tell us about what we did last year.
So last year we had, and this year we still have a whole bunch of cars. So we got some off-site storage and in a really nice place that it used to be a nursery. And so they have a whole bunch of garages that are really off the side of the road in a place. It's almost, you have to drive through a development almost. So it's really safe and really a nice place. So we parked 4 cars there last year, the BMW, the Citroen, the Civic, and the MG, and it fit all nicely in a little quadrant, no extra room. Oh, and a Scooty, I'm sorry, and our scooter. That was also in there, and a whole bunch of Citroen parts. So it was a really nice place. It was out of sight, out of mind, didn't have to look at it all winter, knew it was there, thought about it all winter, and then was excited to go pick up the BMW out of there when we could drive it this spring. So that's the way to go, off-site storage.
It was really nice just to be able to go grab the Honda in the spring, and it was exactly how I left it. It wasn't dirty. It didn't have anything in it. The battery was charged because I had it on a maintainer all winter. It really was nice.
Mental, what do they do down south?
Well, so in preparation for this, I started poking around, and the drag racers and the dirt track guys have a lot of interesting stuff, and it's a interesting compare and contrast because of what they're doing with race prep motors. And one of the first things that kind of stood out at me, and Chris, you were a professional mechanic for a number of years, but one of the things they'll tell folks to do is they say pour oil into the carburetor until the spark plugs begin to fall and the engine starts to smoke. And what they're doing in that is making sure the entire engine is fully lubricated and won't rust on the inside, which I don't know how big of a problem that is up there. But if you get closer to the ocean, that's kind of a concern as you get like those, the rust inside your cylinders. So how do you handle that, Chris?
Well, I've worked in a lot of boats over the years and had a boat most of my life, and we put those up for the winter, and really our boat goes away in September and doesn't come out until June, so it's stored more than it's active. What we do is we pull the plugs, spray fogging oil it, turn the motor in, put the plugs back in, and that's it. That way they are covered in a nice film of lubricant, and it keeps them that way all year. But here, I think for the couple months that we're going to be putting the car away, odds of anything getting into it are pretty low.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned ever with cylinder wall rust that I would pour oil down a carburetor. But obviously a carburetor versus a injected engine is going to have a lot more air flowing through. If I had a carburetor motor, I might stick a rubber glove over the carb.
This year, I'm definitely going to be shoving something up the tailpipe with a Honda because in the past, we've always had a baffled muffler or chambers or things like that that make it difficult for critters to get in. This year, it is straight pipe all the way to the turbo. So something could climb up and make
Don't get in there.
No, something can make a nice little nest in the
skeletons
tailpipe.
Out of that one when it finally fires up.
Yeah,
now,
so steel wool up the tailpipe to keep them. And you use a steel wool is because the rodents can't chew the steel. It hurts their teeth to chew the steel, so they don't go through it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So now the other big concern is suspension components, and this does affect you guys because there's some go fast parts hanging off that Honda. Now everyone knows that tires have two enemies, and that's light and air. So a lot of guys will say that grab their race rubber and wrap it in plastic bags, and then get the car up on jack stands. How extreme do you guys get on that one?
We take the good tires off and put them in my basement. because that is fairly temperature stable, and it's put on the dark side with no light. And usually, though, we don't bother with the bags because the tires we're putting away at the end of the season have at least one race on them, and they're going to be our spares next season, so it's not a big deal. But we definitely do put it on some just crap tires. I think we have some ancient snow tires on Integra wheels we've been putting on the last couple of years, and those go on, and they're round and black and hold air and keep the race tires in the right spot.
Well, the tires that I've been putting on the Ombre or boat every winter have not exactly held air. So
last time you kept them on the old Rivals, which are lovely, they're like big wheel tires at this point. They're so hard.
Yeah. They were dead before we left them on. Let's be honest.
Oh sure, but we had fun with it in testing day at Thompson. We stuck the Rivals on and said, well, how bad can it be? It was.
Actually, those weren't the ones. Those lived in my garage. The ones that were in the boat over the winter, we got rid of them when we got the new set.
No, we didn't.
We did?
We still had the other ones too.
Oh man,
they're bad.
I can't keep track. They're all hard.
It's okay.
Well, and something to know that I didn't realize until I got into RVs, but Jeff, you guys knew very well, especially with a trailer, is you can't store tires on concrete because they'll dry rot. The way concrete pulls moisture out of everything. Absolutely. So they talk about if you're parking it indoors on tires that you remotely want to continue to hold air, you should park it on plywood or carpet samples.
Yep, I have plywood under the tires of the RV because it does sit on a concrete pad. And I also use offsite storage, but I use offsite storage that is not enclosed. So big giant tarps over the pickup cab, especially because we have an exo cage, so the water can get in. But I actually purchased something not janky.
What?
An enclosed.
Yes, and it's beautiful.
This winter, the same things will go on. We will pull off the race rubber and try and store that in climate controlled my basement of my split level. But yeah, we will actually have an enclosed vehicle, and I will probably, other than making sure the little window on top of the vehicle or top of the trailer is closed, be okay.
You didn't say what it was. Jeff bought himself a beautiful 20-foot plus V-nose, a 10,000-pound axle enclosed trailer that has finished interior white walls, and he put a nice epoxy coating on the floor. It is way, way less janky than anything else Jeff has except his Corvette.
Wow, it's like Greg and Bruce with a new car. What are you guys going to do with a new shiny trailer? Besides some of the old janky one, which I got to come up in there and get this winter.
Yeah, I'm paying $85 a month to store it, so get your butt up here.
Okay. Well, would it tow back with nothing on it, or do I need to come up there and work on it?
No, it would tow back with nothing on it.
All right, we're going to work that out. We'll figure out a way to do a podcast over a weekend, and I'm going to come up there and just get it.
It's a shame we can't figure out a way to put a trailer on a trailer because we have to drive down to Jacksonville and pick up this NSX, but I cannot see a way that this will possibly work. So stop it.
Not
Don't even think about
anyway.
it.
Whoa. Well, how are you going to were you going to take like a fancy trailer to bring it back?
I was going to take our nice quality open deck steel trailer that we tow the race cars on and bring it back, which was a brand new trailer 6 years ago.
Rent the U-Haul and then bring me that trailer.
Because I don't think the NSX would make it up a U-Haul trailer. They have no dovetail. They have a big steep over angle. No, I'm using my nice trailer that works great.
Okay, well then, Jeff, your job is to figure out how to get that trailer onto their trailer. If that's not a specific moment, nothing is. Yo, dog, I heard you like trailers, so we trailered your trailer so you can trailer while you trailer.
I think the weight of my half magic trailer might actually exceed the weight limit of Chris's race car trailer. So,
well, then put Chris's race car trailer onto the crappy trailer, and then you've saved wear and tear in your good trailer.
We have done the trailer on a trailer before. When we bought the boat. Yeah, the trailer that it was on was, as you'd imagine, the original trailer for a 1973 Sea Sprite that you buy for $100 to be. So what we did is we brought our flatbed trailer behind my Land Rover, and the guy backed the trailer with the boat on it onto the flatbed trailer, and then we just strapped the boat onto the trailer, and drove home. It was fine except for the tunnel on the turnpike because the air would bounce off the Land Rover, bounce off the tunnel, and then hit the side of the boat, and so it started to sway.
Now, for those listening in their car, what's important is that Chris busted out the sachet of his shoulders right there like he was a backup singer for an R&B soul band. sachet as he said that. So
we digress. Mental, do you have any more fast facts on your garaging of vehicles or wintering vehicles?
Yeah, back to actual topic.
So it's obviously anything, and then the big thing that a lot of people tend to neglect because it's the end of the race season and you're bummed out and you're tired and you just want to be done with it is you got to clean the car. You got to go through, like you said, Chris, pull the belts, pull all that stuff. Because if you just throw the thing under a tarp, you're going to forget about it until halfway through the winter, and by that time that stuff is already questionable, especially the belts. So it's one of those things you've got to set enough time to go through, clean out the car, and put it away clean, even if it's just going to be wrapped in a hole in your backyard.
Because UV degradation on belts is a real thing. That's why New Jersey has a lovely law about belts have to be replaced every 2 years, which is super annoying. But I think it comes from some guy running a dirt track that left his car outside all year long, and that at year 2.5 was in a crash and his belts failed because they'd been sitting in the sun and wind and rain for however long, and that was it.
Yeah. Valid.
Yeah, when we had the open top boat, we actually pulled the belts every single race, just to make sure that doesn't happen.
As was needed.
Yep.
And just to confuse the listeners at home, we're not talking about a race boat that we raced on water. This is a race boat that we raced, on a track because it was a boat mounted to a truck. Duh.
Yep. Absolutely. Anyone else have any last winter storage tips or discussion?
Let's not talk about winter. We still have plenty of racing left to do.
I have a great winter storage tip. Instead of storing your race car, convince your idiot friends that live in the sun
to take it from us.
The car for you after one race and before another, and then you don't have to store it for December through February.
It's not a bad idea.
And hope that they work on it while they have it.
Well, let's not let Mental work on the Honda here. Hold on a second.
Well, it's got to get prepped for the next race, so he's got to do something.
There's a difference between working on it and prepping it. So
True.
prepping, he'll send me a list of do these things, do it like this, do not deviate from this plan. Prepping is follow instructions. Working on, there is diagnosis and then parts replacement, and that's where it starts getting really, really dangerous.
Absolutely. Anyway, last time around, anyone got anything for winter tips before we move on to the next segment we're going to call Hella Sweet or But Terrible? Winter tips going once, going twice? Mental, tell us what you got going, and we will decide if it is Hella Sweet idea or a But Terrible idea.
So, as mentioned, I've owned a 911 since 2000, and I'm trying to remember when I got back from deployments. But
is it a nice 911?
It was a nice 911. So I've had a 996 911 was my daily driver, and then I was doing track days in it. So I elected to, I should have a roll cage put in that. So I did. I had a roll cage put in there. Now the roll cage took forever to get put in, but that's neither here nor there. What's terrible about it is the car is now sat since summer of 2014, and I have done literally nothing with it. So it's time for it to go. I've got to find somebody that's going to do something with that project, and then I think I'm going to turn my current daily driver into a track toy so I can park it.
Your current daily driver being?
Mercedes.
The Mercedes. What exactly Mercedes was it?
I'm sorry, my CLK 430.
Got it.
With 260-something thousand miles on it.
260-something thousand mile. When it blows up, it's getting an LS because given a long enough timeline, everything gets an LS.
Oh, no, come on. The Mercedes 5-liter V8s are dirt cheap because they were in every S-Class that are worth nothing and in junkyards, and they make good power.
They make great power, but finding one that has been taken care of in a junkyard is a challenge. And then the other thing is just the computer technology of 80s or late 90s, early 2000 Mercedes, which is all based on a CAN bus architecture, which means it won't just go out there and talk to any engine management computer. It is looking specifically for that serialized internal serial number computer that's running the computer. I swapped out the gauge cluster of my car and it threw it into a fit. Go ahead, Chris.
You can buy a Chinese clone of the Mercedes Star Diagnostic System, which is the Mercedes tool, which lets you do all kinds of incredible fancy things. And I'm about to buy one for my car.
That's valid. Send me that link when you dig that up. That sounds like a great idea.
It will do. There's at least one guy, if not more, on the GRM board who has bought one successfully and done great things with his, not one, but two twin turbo V12 Mercedes that he bought for sub $5,000 each with 200,000 miles on them, and lots of good success there.
Excellent. Good to know. Excellent.
Top tips.
I have an important question for you. This 911, would you say that it is the approximate value of a janky half trailer?
No, I say that it is 16 times the value of a janky half 9-ton stock car trailer.
Now, if I had any space, I would love to buy the 911 from you as a HPDE time trial NASA car, because I think it would be great for that, but I don't have any space. So we're going to keep running our janky ass Honda in those events and make people shake their heads, but usually smile and then get confused as I pass them.
Mental, what is the current state of this car? Not that I'm thinking about my bank account. Just tell me exactly what's wrong with it. What does it need? Because if it was put away correctly, as you were just describing, it should be ready to go. Tell me.
Well, it was put away, but it was put away 3 years ago, and then it's just done nothing but sit in a garage for the duration of that time. So it's been sitting in a garage.
I mean, does it have an interior in it?
It has no interior.
No
interior. Has the IMS bearing been done?
I have no idea.
That means
no.
And
it was one of the. Everyone should know.
That's a no.
IMS, but it's got 140,000 miles on it, so I'm going to go with it's not a problem.
Or it's about to be a time bomb.
Yeah.
Because
now, if it's one of the
water-cooled Porsche
5% cars, it would have gone 100,000 miles ago.
Plan on selling it to somebody who doesn't listen to this podcast.
Oh no! Whoever buys it, it's not going back on the street. They're going to buy it and have that engine rebuilt anyway, because they're going to either run Spec 996 or a PCA event. So that engine's coming right out of there and getting rebuilt. We all know it. So it doesn't matter.
LS swap.
Or LS swap. Or yes, they'll do an LS swap on it.
All right. So the hella but terrible or hella sweet idea is: should Mental sell the 911 or should he keep it? Is that the question?
Can we add a third option, trade to Jeff, or is that right off the table?
No, that's but terrible immediately.
No. Now, I'll trade to Jeff, but what's Jeff got that interests me?
Oh, how about a Corvette?
No, it's not my Corvette. It's the wife's Corvette.
Now we're talking even trade.
Yeah. Well, Jeff would start to put a package deal together. Well, I have a janky-ass trailer and a janky-ass Miata. And
how about an International Harvester?
No.
I can't go.
No.
That's Jen's too. So we got
two
janky
dogs.
things that Jeff doesn't want. Dogs. Mental might like dogs.
Mental likes dogs.
They're
Mental
coming to
does like dags, but Mental's got enough dags.
They're a package deal.
Well, so currently Jeff does not have anything to trade to Mental for the 996. Oh well.
Right.
Sorry. Too bad. All right.
All right. I'm going to vote that he should pass it on. I'm going to vote that he should pass it on because I can never let go of a car, so at least somebody should.
I agree. I think the hella sweet idea is move it along. I'm going through this with my AMG. Everyone thinks, oh, we'll never sell it. I really want to sell it. I just need to get it touched up to sell it. I sold the BMW. That's gone. I really want to sell the AMG. Really, the point is find someone that's going to love it because you're done with it.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it is, we talk about the Grassroots Motorsports Board, and you remember Dan, 914 driver, once put a quote up there that said, once your project becomes a storage shelf, you're on a very dangerous slope. And that's so where true. I am with this car.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you.
So, all right, so everyone says sell it. We're doing terrible on this defend yourself but terrible idea. We've got to come up with something a little more controversial next week.
2 weeks in a row we've said, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll find something that we don't agree on.
And we've gone ahead and acted on all yours advice, and I just paid a lot of money for a fancy Honda. So.
But
you're so excited on it, so it's cool.
Once you have it and you drive it around, you're going to be just as excited.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be like that Buick commercial where Chrissy's getting out of bed at 4 a.m. to take the Honda to work. Oh, it's more fuel efficient. Sorry, I'm out of here. Take the Mercedes.
That's going to happen.
It's got air-conditioned seats.
I'm going to say, because the only reason why, as we said last week, why I'm keeping my car, if I can drive the other cool cars, I'll drive my car. But now I have multiple cars to pick from, so I'm just going to say, today's NSX day. Oh, tomorrow's Mercedes day. Maybe I'll take the Mazda on Friday.
I don't know where the keys to the NSX went, Chrissy. I'm sorry.
I gotta go. Bye.
Like she won't have 14 spares by the time that comes around.
Look, she'll be saying, I don't have the keys to the bedroom if I don't have the keys to the NSX.
Hey, pocket doors, no locks.
Well, Mental,
I don't want
guess
to
you
know
gotta
about what
sell
she
it.
gets to behind closed doors. I'm just.
Hey, and on that topic, hey, Chrissy, what do you think about Just the Tip?
I have a great Just the Tip this week.
Sooner or later, we're going to have a really good intro to Just the Tip. But right now, let's just move right along. It's the time of the week you've been waiting for. Chrissy's going to give us Just the Tip.
Okay, so here's Just the Tip. So this is a on track and on the highway. Keep your eyes up. So we talk about this on the track, but I really think it's valuable to do it on the highway as well. So we've talked about, we as a team have talked about putting a line on the windshield to make sure you don't look below it, and try to keep your eyes up. So keep it at the very bottom. We've never done it. We've talked about doing it. But I find that when you're driving on the highway, it's really easy to keep your eyes and looking down at the ground. So you're looking at potholes, you're looking at where you have traveled and where you're going to travel right now. But if you keep your eyes up, you find that you can see so much ahead of you. And but I think it's one of those things you actually have to practice. So I was driving today on my way to a office, not my office, a field office for where I work at AmeriGas. And my eyes were up, and I was driving in kind of twilight, and it was a little bit dark. And I see a shadow pretty far up ahead. And here, there was a chicken in the road.
I saw that on Facebook.
Why did the chicken cross the road? But I saw the shadow ahead, and I was like, wait, that's weird, only because my eyes were up. So if I was, and of course I might have been going a little faster than the speed limit because I was on a back road by myself, and it was awesome. So, and there's kind of twisty roads back there, so it was great. But I found myself, if I wasn't looking up, I would have smushed the chicken and eaten it, and I would have scooped it up and eaten it for dinner.
Nice.
Well, and that actually is valid. I was teaching at Autobahn with Grid Life this past summer. And new guy, first time on track, he's trying really, really hard. We were running the full course. And as we came over from the transition from the north course to the south course, right there going into the turn, a turkey landed right in front of us. And all of us had done instructing, and just I was in the habit of looking down the track and said, oh, wow. That is the gutsiest or dumbest turkey I have ever seen in my life. My student, what turkey? What are you talking about? Because he was 4 feet off the hood. And it was one of those lessons. Oh, man, I should really be looking down the track because that thing would have totally jacked up my car. Yes, it would have.
So I have one last point is that my favorite time, I drive a lot on the highway. I drive, and I usually drive in the left lane because that actually moves faster than the right lane. So there's plenty of people.
You're in Berks County, Pennsylvania. I challenge this statement.
Okay, so
that the left lane works better than the right lane.
Okay, so but there's
I lived there. I know those assholes.
There's plenty of people that speed up and try to drive down the right lane and think that they're going to beat you off the line. They're going to get past you, and their eyes aren't up. So that's my tip. Keep your eyes up all the time on the track or on the highway.
I will give one more plug for this. I drive on the New Jersey Autobahn, also known as the Atlantic City Expressway. This is my commute to work. It is one of the fastest, straightest highways in the state. This is a state where the state cops, you can't turn left.
You're not going to win this one.
The traffic police, I mean, it is a police state pretty much. The insurance companies, screw you, Chris. I know it's where you get your money from every day and why you can buy NSXs, but the insurance industry has the New Jersey residents' balls in a vice.
Thank you.
One freaking moving violation, and you're taking it up to cornhole. So you must have electronic countermeasures. You must be running ways. You must keep your eyes up to know what does the road look like, what's going on, where are the people? Where are the unmarked cars? So not only does keeping the eyes up keep you safe, but it keeps your wallet safe.
What beach is your governor closing so you can have a private vacation?
That's right.
The ACE,
damn it.
The times that I've driven the ACE that were more than 2 years ago, I've definitely gone 90 most of the way, all the way down the AC with no issue, and really people passing me.
Yeah, that would have been me if it was commuting to work. It might have been me, but it wasn't because it was on a weekend. So there's just a tip. Thanks for the safety tip, Chrissy. Any last words from anyone before we hit the outro?
Well, we're going to be driving down to Jacksonville in 2 weeks, so that's going to be a fun story. After we come back, we're going to tow down with the trailer, pick up the NSX, and come home.
Now, legitimately, you guys going straight through? Or are you going to stop by?
Atlanta's not exactly on the way from Birdsboro to Jacksonville. So
Jacksonville's pretty west.
So it just puts you on the, because normally everything takes you to Atlanta. All right. So you guys just hitting the coast and going straight down?
Yeah, we'll probably go through Charlotte.
They don't want to hang out with you.
That's what I figured. I just want to hear them say it.
No, I'm not going to say it. If Atlanta weren't 4 hours out of the way, then sure. We're probably going to right by Darren's house, actually, as we go down 81, down through Charlotte, down to South Carolina, and then down the coast of Jacksonville.
Mental, why don't you come visit us in Jacksonville?
Yeah!
Are you guys doing that over a weekend, or are you doing it during the week?
Week and a half away. On the weekend.
We'll talk.
Definitely
we'll talk. Yeah. Especially if you guys figure a way to double load the trailer.
Not happening.
Not happening. Well, all right. Thank you for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We're
apologizing, but you're never getting this 50 minutes back, ever.
I can't wait to have this recorded so people shut up when I'm doing the outro. We also hope you join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe with the subscribe button on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. If you didn't like us, email us and tell us why we suck, and we may read it on the air and take your feedback seriously. If you have any questions or want to give us some show ideas, drop us a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers. Or, if you're interested in our team business, check out the Facebook page, 3 Pedal Mafia Lemons Race Team. If you'd like to help us produce the show, donate to the cause at patreon.com. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless you're driving pieces of crap like us and there is no shiny side, then just keep the wheels down.